Judge Polk-Payton was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to the late Ollie and Fannie Wheeler Polk. She is the wife of Gregory White Sr. She has one son, Gabriel Kobe Payton, and two stepsons, Greg Jr. and Brandon. She was admitted to the practice of law in the state of Mississippi in September 1996 after completing a bachelor's degree in business administration at the University of Southern Mississippi. She also obtained a master's in business administration at the University of New Orleans and also a Juris Doctor at the University of Mississippi, also known as Ole Miss School of Law. Judge Gay is Commissioner for the 12th Judicial District with the Mississippi Bar Association and a member of Magnolia and American Bar Associations, a member of the Trial Lawyers Association, the Mississippi Justice Court Judge Association, the Hattiesburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, a Hall of Fame member at the University of Mississippi's Black Law Students Association, a member of the Council on Legal Education Opportunities Judges Hall of Fame, a Deputy Hall of Fame member of the National Association of Professional Women, and a member and past president of the South Central Mississippi Bar Association. She is currently employed with the Forest County Justice Court, where she serves as an elected judge. She is owner of Polk-Payton Law Office, and she previously served as adjunct faculty member with the USM's Human Performance and Recreation Department. She is licensed to practice law in all courts in the state of Mississippi, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and in the United States Supreme Court. She is the host of Gay's PSA Weekly Internet Radio Show, and she is a certified fitness instructor. In addition to being a licensed attorney and a sworn judge, she is also a singer, songwriter, video blogger, author, wife, and mom. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Judge Gay Polk.
Good evening, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. All right, I am so happy to be here tonight. This is such an honor because of what Clyde Kennard meant to me as a student of the University of Southern Mississippi, a former student of the University of Southern Mississippi, what his legacy meant to me. I was actually in the courtroom when his conviction, his wrongful conviction, was set aside in 2006. The governor would not pardon him at the time, but he did join in the petition to have the conviction set aside. So he was exonerated later in life, but it was after he had already paid a penalty that he did not owe. So what I owe to Clyde Kennard is the same thing that you owe to Clyde Kennard, because there was no Clyde Kennard scholarship when I was in college here in 1986, but I still know that I owe him. I owe him the duty of being a good person, growing up, and making the best of my education. I owe him. I graduated from Ole Miss Law School, so I owe James Meredith. I owe educators who came before me like Dr. Eddie Holloway. We owe them. We owe them the duty of doing right by our education because they paved the way so that we will be able to get those educations. I carefully considered the words that were used to inspire you today, and I thought about the wealth of my knowledge comes from. In my introduction is so long and boring to me, and it's like you heard I got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a law degree, but those degrees did not give me the greatest wealth of my knowledge. The most valuable part of my education has come from the underlying circumstances and the environments that have surrounded me as I grew up into adulthood and pursued my formal education. That is what has given me a true understanding of where I fit in the big picture. It has given me a sense of knowing how my knowledge and my capabilities can contribute to making the world a less chaotic place. Conversely, if you allow the atmosphere surrounding your education to have an internal and self-centered focus, you will miss the point of it all. And what you gain in college will turn out to be no more than a cluster of semester hours that won't benefit you or anyone else. So because my doctoral degree is in the field of law, I decided to come here and give you insight into the realities of life and the realities of education by using a term that we use in the law called the totality of the circumstances. A totality of the circumstances standard says that one must consider all of the facts, the context, and draw a reasonable conclusion from the whole picture. Where you fit in the big picture began at the point of your conception and has continued until this day. When you were brought home from the hospital, there were some things that you instinctively knew how to do. But there were other things that had to be taught. Therefore, that began your formal education. There have been things that have contributed to the direction of your education, including but not limited to natural learning aptitudes, memory skills, athletic abilities, speaking, dancing, vocal and composing ability, and the like. There were also things that may have distracted from your education, like disciplinary problems, learning disabilities, or in my case, being spoiled, outspoken, with a quick wit and a loquacious mouth, and an unruly mind that tends to go against the flow sometimes. I think I got that naturally. Other things may have contributed to our abilities to deal with difficult circumstances, and that would include the ability to find peace after sadness created by the loss of a close family member, or the discipline exhibited while withstanding the call of peer pressure. I am careful not to despise the shortcomings that I have or my growing pains. The negative situations that arose in my life made me learn how to turn obstacles into opportunities to be great. The song that was playing when y'all came in is my favorite song by Whitney Houston. It's called One Moment in Time. And it was sang for the Olympics. And it was such a beautiful song, but she talks about giving me that one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away and the answers are all up to me. And then at the end she says, you're a winner for a lifetime if you seize that one moment in time and make it shine. And you have so many moments in time that give you opportunities to be great. Seize those moments and you will become more than you ever thought that you could be. I realized that pushing myself beyond my comfort zone would allow me to go further than I ever thought possible. Some say that your best teacher is your last mistake. I can't disagree with that, but I urge you to remember that teacher. And I urge you to respect that teacher, but don't obsess over that teacher, and don't let that teacher destroy you. Sometimes your worst enemy lies between your ears. If you only give your mind exposure to the tunnel vision of your preconceived notions of we've always done it this way. I've never seen anybody do that before. Nobody from my neighborhood has ever gone further than this. If you allow yourself to maintain that tunnel vision, those thoughts and fears will fester in your life, and then they will amplify, and they will ultimately spill over into your life. The result of that is usually and likely a manifestation of drama, confusion, and alienation. From those things, a lot of time, failure results. Understand that the space between your ears is not big enough to hold all the facts. Open your mind, open your ears, and open your eyes to what is possible, and you will be able to create a clearer path to understanding the realities of life. Everything that has happened in your life to this point has contributed to preparing you for a time like this. In college, you had less learning supervision, but you were still able to thrive because of the determination, self-control, self-esteem, and personal responsibility that you gained during the transitions in your life. Learning to harness those positive and negative attributes gave you the undergirding and the discipline you needed to matriculate on a college level. That takes discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. I have 3 degrees and it takes discipline. Discipline is a learned behavior. If you don't believe it, let me tell you how I know. My son can lift me like I'm a toddler, okay? And now look at me, I'm not a little bitty woman, but he can lift me like I'm a toddler. Now in most circumstances, if you can physically handle somebody, and that somebody tells you what to do, the instinctive response is, you can't tell me what to do. But when I tell my son what to do, because discipline and respect for authority was instilled in him from the first time he answered to his name, when I tell him what to do, he says, yes, ma'am. And if he says anything other than yes, ma'am, he has to say yes, ma'am first and then explain. If you say anything other than yes, ma'am first, you're talking back. Okay, all right, I don't play it. He's physically big enough to bully me, but respect and discipline controls him in ways that our relative size and strength would never allow me to handle him. Over the years, he has learned something that I've known very well for years. Strength pushes you forward, but discipline allows you to stay the course and finish the race. Where you are today is a result of a series of conscious decisions, discipline-driven decisions that you've made since you were about 12 years old. Where you sit today tells me that you decided to listen to your parents and your teachers. You decided not to cheat to get ahead because you understood the fact that the benefit of schemes are temporary, but the rewards of plans are permanent. You always hear people say a series of schemes because you need more than one of them to get to where you're trying to go, and most of the time, one of them is not going to work. But a plan will stay the course with you. A plan is for the discipline. A scheme is for somebody who's just trying to get over for right now. You want more than right now. You want to go the distance. You decided to seize the amazing opportunity to learn at this magnificent institution in an effort to take advantage of an opportunity to rise above your circumstances. You decided that minimal effort was not good enough, so you stepped outside of your comfort zone, and therefore you now have a greater capacity to grow mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. You decided to follow the rules required for higher learning by admitting that rules exist for the purpose of thwarting chaos. You decided not to allow the pull of instant gratification to guide you. Instead, you exercised patience and perseverance. You decided to admit to and accept the fact that a quick fix will only create another problem. From where you sit, you know that everything that is worth having is worth working for and waiting for. You know that faith without works is dead. You took responsibility of who you will become, and where you sit now represents the sum total of the decisions that you've made. You're poised now, not only to be useful to yourself, but to be useful to your fellow man. My parents didn't have much education. They didn't have money for me to go to college. They didn't have money to pay for me to go to college. And when I was in high school, they didn't even have enough education to help me absorb what I was learning every day in school. But they taught me how to trust in God. They taught me how to work for what you want. They taught me how to be honest and fair and how to maintain a die-hard tenacity that wouldn't allow me to give up on my hopes and my dreams. I often got tired, discouraged, frustrated, but like you, I didn't quit. Like Clyde Kennard, I didn't quit. Like James Meredith, I didn't quit. Like Dr. Eddie Holloway, I did not quit. I worked hard, and I took advantage of every opportunity that was presented to me, and because I did that, here I stand speaking before students at the university where I matriculated 25 years ago. But I want you to see the big picture of who I am. Most people, when they see me or they read my bio, they see lawyer, judge, singer, songwriter, radio show host, author, board member, bar commissioner, sorority member. But that's not everything there is to get Polk-Payton white. I am a child of the King. I am a woman. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a niece. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. I'm a step-grandmother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a stepmother. I'm a great aunt. I'm a friend, a choir member. I'm a volunteer. I'm a mentor. I am a citizen of humanity. And as a citizen of humanity, all those credentials aside, as a citizen of humanity, it is my duty to share the totality of the circumstances that made Gay Polk-Payton White who she is to the world today. Not to make me look better, but so you can see that all things are possible if you don't get caught leaning on your own understanding. You have to unreservedly, unconditionally trust in God's plan for your life. Because I have achieved a certain level of success, people look at me and they think that I have the world on the string. But they don't know where I come from. They don't know my struggle. I have to tell my son this very often because he's a freshman at Ole Miss. Like I always said, I can say that. And he's a freshman, and so you know how you are when you're a freshman. You're so broke you can't pay attention. Just broke all the time. Kobe begs so much, his hands look like cups. I mean, that's how much he begs. And he'll FaceTime me when he needs money, so I have to look at that pitiful face and give him what he wants. But I told Kobe, I said, this is what you gotta understand, because Bennett York's grandson, Bennett, I don't know, people who are from the area, older people in the area know who Bennett York is, but he's a doctor, he's a surgeon, he's a land developer. He got a whole lot of money. He got a whole lot of money. His daughter went to high school with me. We graduated from high school together. Paige, we were 14, and Paige had a candy apple red Porsche with Spy on the tag for Susan Paige York. So I told Kobe, I said, I know that Lars, Paige's son, is a freshman too at Ole Miss. I said, but I need you to stop hanging out with Lars. Don't hang around with the airship babies. Don't stay away from the airship babies. I said, because you are not an airship baby. I said, the only thing my daddy left me was alone. So I need you to leave me alone and stop asking me for money every other week. I said, you're not struggling, Kobe. I said, you don't know struggle. Until you have said 200 pennies on pump number 4, you don't know nothing about struggle. I said that. But people also, they don't know that my father died 2 weeks before I graduated from law school. My mother died 17 months later when I was 2 months pregnant with my son. That was a traumatic experience. But God entrusted me with that pain so that I could use it for the benefit of other people. When I was assistant dean at Ole Miss Law School, I had a student come to me stressed out about a test that she had just taken. I think it was in the eminent domain or family law, because I know those were 2-hour courses. And in a few days, though, she had a test for evidence law, which was a really, really hard course. That was like one of the hardest courses you were ever going to take in law school. And that's a 4-hour course, and I knew she had that coming up. So I told her about losing my mother while I was pregnant. I told her that before my mother died, she told me that there was nothing that I could do for her, but that I was carrying her grandchild, and that it was my job to get her grandson here safely. I don't know how she knew it was a boy. I hadn't even had an ultrasound yet. She just said her grandson, always. But what I had to do was put down my grief and deal with the task at hand, which was doing what my mama told me and getting her grandchild here safely. I explained to that student that she had turned in that exam for that 2-hour course, so there was nothing she could do about that exam. But she had to grab the task at hand and accomplish that by seizing the opportunity for doing her very best to prepare for the evidence exam that was coming up. I was able to help her to understand in a matter of minutes what my mom was trying to say to me. That is a life lesson that took me years to understand. Having a clear understanding of the seed that my mother planted in me was put to the test 13 years later when my son was diagnosed with a soft tissue sarcoma on his left eye. He had to endure 4 surgeries, 31 radiation treatments, and 7 rounds of chemo. Before I was sworn in on January 3rd, 2012 as my first term as Justice Court Judge. My son started chemo 20 days later. So covet not the drink in your fellow man's cup. Never find yourself wanting what somebody else has unless you know what they had to go through to get it. Stay focused on what God has for you and you alone. If you remain steadfast in your faith in God, you will never become envious of others or overwhelmed by the fear of the unknown. Because my son endured chemotherapy, he was able to make a wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And we will put pictures on Facebook. His wish was to see the Steelers play in Heinz Field. So they flew us to Pittsburgh. We watched the Steelers play. We got to go to practice, hang out with Coach Tomlin. He was thrown a pass by Ben Roethlisberger. He actually caught it. It was amazing. It was amazing. And people were seeing the pictures on Facebook, and they were like, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Y'all are in Pittsburgh. You all booed up with Mike Tomlin, you know, and I'm so jealous. And I told her, I said, let me tell you something. I said, I would rather watch the Steelers play in my den on a Sunday afternoon rather than watch my baby go through what he had to go through for us to be eligible to do that. I said, so you have these tickets, but you just take back all the pain that my son had to go through. Don't want what people have until you know what they went through to get it. The Pixar movie, Inside Out, was a really, really good movie to me. I don't really watch that many movies because my son is 18, my stepsons are 15 and 10, so we don't watch, you know, they think those are baby movies, so they don't watch it. But one day, Kobe went to get us pick movies from Redbox, and he came back with Inside Out. I thought he was gonna come back with something crazy like The Purge or some of that crazy stuff teenagers are watching, but he came back with Inside Out. And that movie was so profound to me. I was shocked that he brought it, but I said, okay, I'm gonna watch it. It was so profound to me because it talks about our internal being, who we are on the inside, what's going on inside of us as external stimuli impact us. In the story, from the time that the child was conceived, the emotion joy was running the control center of the personality of that little girl. But as she started to grow older and experience more real-life situations, joy started to lose control. Sadness would touch memories of things she once had but didn't have anymore. Anger, fear, and disgust would step in and want to handle situations, but joy tried to hold all these emotions at bay so that there would be a constant state of utopia. But soon joy realized that it is not realistic to dwell in a constant state of bliss, because the totality of your emotions is what makes you who you are. The depth of your experiences create opportunities for you to serve others by freely sharing with them the knowledge that you had to pay for with your blood, sweat, and tears. Always remember that everything is not about you. It's not about you. John F. Kennedy said, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. That's what you have to say about the world. It's not about what the world can do for you. It's what you can do to the world. So in closing, I would like to make the following admonishment to you. I make it to myself. It's a daily affirmation. As you move forward in life, remember that perspective is everything. I have a job because of perspective. Did y'all get that analogy? Because I'm a lawyer, I'm a judge. Perspective is everything. I have to, as a lawyer, I have to get the judge to see my perspective or the jury to see my perspective, and then the prosecutor is getting them to see their perspective. And so it's just a balancing test that I have to do on a daily basis, whether I'm acting as a lawyer or if I'm acting as a judge. But you know, one of the things you have to be careful with is to never allow narrow-mindedness to limit your perspective and cause you to lose a holistic view of the big picture. Never allow yourself to be bogged down in a set of temporary circumstances that can and will change if you keep moving. If you keep moving forward and upward, you will soon realize that the things that you thought were so overwhelming are now behind you and beneath you. But don't allow that to give you a mentality of arrogance or selfishness. Always remember to reach back, give back, and handle power and authority with grace, honor, and humility, with the understanding that the power vested in you by any institution or organization means nothing unless God vests you with the power to take your next breath. And at the end of your life, you will be able to take pride in knowing that you made a difference in the world. You will be able to know that the totality of the circumstances that became your life served to make this world a better place. You will see the value in the story that lies in the dash between your birth year and your death year. You will see it as a life that made a difference. You will know that you were someone who changed the big picture that encompasses the world into a beautiful portrait that is more morally sound, one that is less chaotic, and one that holds a brighter future for our children and for their children, for mankind as a whole. I wish you all great success I wish you just the best of everything as you move forward in the best phase, in the next phase of your life, because the best is yet to come. That's why they call graduation commencement, because it's just the beginning. Just always remember that if you continue to move forward and upward, you will realize that the things that you thought were insurmountable are now behind you.